Hi, my name is Michael Cargill. I'm the owner of Central Texas Gun Works from the court case of Garland versus Cargill. That's the Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States versus Michael Cargill in the bump stock lawsuit. We brought this case because of what happened in 2017 in Las Vegas. A horrific shooting that took place in Las Vegas, a mass shooting, and allegedly the shooter used a bump stock, that part on some rifles to execute that shooting. This was during a time frame that Donald Trump was the president, and so the president came out and said we need to get rid of bump stocks and ban them and just take them away. So the ATF complied and reversed the decision, keeping in mind that bump stocks were actually legalized under President Obama, under that administration, and that's where we first got our bump stocks. They came about. And the reason for bump stocks is so that, veterans, a person with a disability would be able to fire a rifle again. And then other people with, no disability at all, just pretty much just had fun with them. And so that's where they came from. And so when the Trump administration decided to ban them through the ATF, I thought that that was actually crazy, because my thoughts were, if you allow an agency to ban this particular product, you give them this power to do this, what stops them later on down the road when there is a Democrat president in office and coming after other different parts and pieces of rifles? And so I said, we need to do something about this. So I reached out to the NRA, I reached out to different organizations and different people, and everyone was on the same tune, saying, it's okay, we'll go ahead and give up the bump stocks. We don't care about those. I said, are you guys listening to yourself? You can't just give this up, because if we give this up, you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile. And I really didn't care about bump stocks, but I care about other different parts and pieces and accessories and things of that nature. And I said, we cannot give this much power to the ATF. So I got with someone, NCLA, we decided to file this lawsuit against the federal government, and I'm glad we did do this. The first court, the judge, his mindset was a bump stock is kind of like a shotgun, where if I pull back on the shotgun, and then, it fires or something of that nature. He was, a little confused about how it actually worked. And so we lost that case in the first court. We didn't appeal the case to the Fifth Circuit. It was heard in the Fifth Circuit with a 3-judge panel. That 3-judge panel happened to be all Democrat-appointed judges, even though the majority of the justices on the Fifth Circuit are actually conservatives. We actually pulled a 3-judge panel that were all Democrats. So we lost that case. We then appealed again, and it was heard en banc. It was by all the justices in the Fifth Circuit. So we went back and we pled our case in the court and in front of all the justices, and they decided the case in our favor. This was a very great ruling. It's very detailed. You get an opportunity to go back and read it. I suggest you read it, because it breaks down what a machine gun is, talks about definition of machine gun, which is something that we need to clarify. And so this will help us with everything else, different triggers and other things. It also, got into the Chevron deference, how the Supreme Court gave limited power to different agencies within our federal government to do minor things, to make minor corrections. And so that was the Chevron deference. Here we are in 2023, going into 2024, what the agencies have done, like the EPA, the ATF, CDC, what they've done is they're doing much bigger scope of things, more so than what the Supreme Court, allowed them to do. They're now basically, in essence, like the ATF, they're taking that power and they're turning millions of Americans into felons overnight by banning different parts and pieces of firearms. And this is why it's important that this case gets up to the Supreme Court, which it is. So the Supreme Court this week granted cert that they're going to hear this case in the Supreme Court either late February or March. We'll have our day in the United States Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., and we'll get a chance to plead our case to the court, and in hopes that they will side in our favor in saying that, 1, they agree with our definition of what a machine gun is. 2, that the ATF and other agencies within our federal government cannot create or write law. Congress has the right of bill to ban those different parts and pieces. And then if that happens, then we're talking about, is it constitutional? But we're not even thinking about the constitutionality of it. We're just saying, hey, one thing is ATF and other agencies cannot create or write law. That power is reserved for Congress, you know, the people that we send to DC to represent us, the people. As always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there and you buy yourself a gun.